Guess who made the gossip columns this morning? Everyone's talking about this new rival you have. Check stats out.
So what is up, everybody? Welcome once again to my YouTube channel, and today let's continue with our F1 2016 career mode. We are still in the Manor, and today we are at the Temple of Speed, the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, for the Italian Grand Prix. So what you just saw, we just got another rival in the form of Valtteri Bottas, who is just ahead of us in the Drivers' Championship. And as we go to the Research and Development tab, we can see that we had to buy the developments once again, because for some reason they didn't save from Spa to Monza. By the way, if you haven't seen Spa, it was a very great race with a very chaotic last lap, if I can say so myself. So check it out if you haven't already. As you can see, we are just 25 points away from the 7th place of Valtteri Bottas. So it will be quite hard to catch him in the driver's standings, but still we will try as we go to qualifying session.
Qualifying is about to start here at the Autodromo di Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. The teams are about to head out onto the track any minute now.
Now we are about to complete our Q1 lap. We did it on the softs, and I just posted a 1:23.2, which is the fastest lap overall so far, at least. But as we go on to the end of qualifying one, Lewis Hamilton is the only one to beat our time, with our teammate in a very healthy 9th place, if I just saw at the corner of my eye there correctly, I mean. So we are just going to move into the qualifying session with at least the certainty that we have good pace around this track. As we move on to Q2, you can notice there are quite a few amount of clouds hanging above the Monza circuit, as we post a 1:26.1 to close our Q2 lap, which got us P4. As it started to rain, and Pascal Wehrlein with a great 7th place, as Daniel Ricciardo will be starting on the softs if the track is dry at the beginning of the race. Who wasn't so lucky is Lewis Hamilton and Vettel, who got knocked out in Q2. They probably just went into the track too late and got caught out with a wet track. As you can see, it kept on raining until the point I was almost thinking about making a lap on the on the full wet tires, as I'm now being chased by Kvyat, as I post a 1:34.5, which was the fastest lap time at the time, because it was the only one posted at the time, and it was only beaten by Nico Rosberg and Daniel Ricciardo, who posted on the wet tires. So yeah, it was a great lap for us. P3 is a very good result, especially at Monza. It means that we have very good speed down the straights. And our teammate got P7 as well. So for the first time, I think, in a couple of races, we got both cars in the Q3 with competitive speed, both of them, because Pascal will usually get 10th place most of the time. So as we go back to our motorhome, we get in the rivalry update, we just smashed Valtteri Bottas. I think he was out in Q2. And in the driver position, we completed both of the objectives proposed by our team. So let's go into the race, shall we?
It's race day here in Italy once again. Monza, home to so many records. The smallest winning margin, for example. Do you remember in 1971, Peter Gethin beat Ronnie Peterson to the line by 1/100th of a second. There were 40 overtakes for the lead alone in 1965, and Kimi Raikkonen clocked a record top speed of 230 miles per hour here, just over a decade ago. So there's a lot to live up to then for all of our drivers today. With top speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, few places can hope to touch Monza's crown as the fastest circuit in Formula One. Hard braking zones going into 3 chicanes make up the majority of the 11 corners on this 3.6-mile circuit. And just in case the slipstream wasn't enough, well, 2 DRS zones will help encourage some close action. It's a very tight turn 1 here and a very big braking zone. It's a corner, Anthony Davidson, where we've seen a number of lap 1 incidents in the past.
As you say, it's a very small piece of track when you have more than just one car trying to go through it. The actual run down towards the chicane is quite wide, so off the start, we'll often see drivers running 2 or maybe 3 abreast as they come up towards the braking zone. Everyone wants to brake late, of course, to win track position, and that tends to be where we see a lot of contact. And you'll see the more experienced drivers kind of hang back a little into here and focus more on picking up the pieces from other people's incidents.
You can run side by side into the Rettifilio, but don't brake too late on these cold tyres or you will hit someone.
So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's qualifying session with a look at the starting grid. Nico Rosberg will start his silver arrow from pole position, with Daniel Ricciardo slotting in alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Manor, Verstappen, Kimi Raikkonen and Kvyat, Wehrlein, Alonso, Perez and Kevin Magnussen. Sainz, Hamilton, Nico Hülkenberg and Bottas, Massa, Vettel, Jolyon Palmer and Jenson Button, Grosjean and Gutierrez, Marcus Ericsson and Felipe Nasser starts from the back of the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
As we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go for the Italian Grand Prix. As we get a good start, we managed to stay side by side with Ricciardo and Verstappen. I can see in our mirrors didn't get the best of starts. He's now side by side with the Finnish driver Kimi Raikkonen. He will have the inside line coming to this first corner and is able to retain his 4th place. Even though I was not able to pull off any sort of moves, I got a small cushion to Verstappen behind me, but I still lost some ground to Ricciardo in front of me, who is chasing down the Mercedes of Nico Rosberg. As we go down into this first chicane, there is still not much to do right now, as I'm just trying to cover the ground I lost in the initial stages of this lap, as I just pushed the back end through the first Lesmo. And it is very tricky conditions, as I haven't had any opportunity to get wet weather with a full tank, because it didn't rain in the practice sessions. So we are now witnessing a move from Ricciardo on the inside of the Ascari chicane, and he gets the lead of the Grand Prix with a beautiful move on the inside of Nico Rosberg. But now Rosberg, due to that move, will have a poor exit, and I'm now swarming all over his rear diffuser, as I will make a move around the outside of Parabolica. I don't even need to do it too hard, because I was already in front of him before the braking zone, and Rosberg in just a couple of corners loses 2 places, as we are now moving to the beginning of lap 3, as I just posted a fastest lap, as I'm still chasing Ricciardo. And it's time to move to our replays, as we are now on the T-cam of our teammate Pascal Wehrlein. And he got a good start compared to, I believe it is Daniel Kvyat, I'm not sure, but I believe it is the Russian driver. As we go side by side, we have to duck on the outside, which meant we lost a couple of ground to him. But as we try to rejoin the racing line, Pascal Wehrlein sees Alonso on his outside, so he couldn't rejoin, so he didn't have as much traction as the Spaniard did, which is unfortunate for our teammate. Now we are on the T-cam of Lewis Hamilton. He had a very poor qualifying session on top of a very poor race last time out. And he doesn't look like it's going to improve too much, as he's now currently P13, as the Force India shows his nose at the entry of turn 1. But now at the exit of turn 2, he gets slammed a little bit on the front by a very slow Kevin Magnussen, who is up in P10. But he will later down the lap, he will be able to get P10 and come back to the point positions as he brakes later than the Renault, using his superior downforce on his car. As we now move to the camera angle of Vettel, who is starting very below his normal qualifying positions. He started in P16, and to make it worse, he got a very poor start. He's already been overtaken by Jolyon Palmer, and is now in P18 as he moves to the racing line for some reason, to the normal racing line, and he has now lost the position to Jenson Button and Esteban Gutierrez as well, as we are going to see the start from the British driver, as you are able to see either Palmer got a very good start, or it was just Vettel was not able to respond, was not able to put the power down, and for some reason Vettel moves onto the normal racing line under braking, and it was almost hit by the McLaren of Jenson Button, who side by side with Felipe Massa gets the position from him and is up to P15. So great start from Jenson Button, as we will try to make a move on. I think it is Hülkenberg in the Force India later in the race, as we are now following the T-cam of Gutierrez, I think. Yes, it is Gutierrez, who is side by side with his teammate Romain Grosjean, and as you will be able to see, the Ferrari of Vettel moves over to the racing line, and Grosjean just cannot do anything to avoid him, losing a little bit of his end plates on his front wing, which is not going to help him under these tricky conditions, with a very wet track. But a very good start from the Mexican as well, as we are now following the rear cam of Kvyat as he locks up both his rear tires, and will be overtaken by Fernando Alonso, who has made up at least 2 positions at the start. Further back on the road, we are going to see both Hamilton and I believe it is Perez pressurizing our teammate, as our teammate has to concede the outside line at the exit of turn 2, and thus he will not get the optimal grip and loses both places to his close rivals on the track. As we are now following a rather beautiful move from the Finnish driver of the Ferrari, a very easy maneuver as well, as he was ahead of the Red Bull even before the braking zone, as we are now following the not Spaniard but the Mexican driver Sergio Perez, who is witnessing a battle between Fernando Alonso and Daniel Kvyat, as Daniel Kvyat is trying to regain his position lost on the previous lap. And just take a look at how fast the Mexican is compared to his rivals. The difference of speed is just immense, as Lewis Hamilton is also joining the party and is actually between the Mexican and Fernando Alonso, and Perez just has nowhere to go. And just take a look at both our teammate, and I think it is Massa, and the Spaniard of the Toro Rosso. All of them are going to be through Perez, and some of them are going to pass Hamilton as well. So we are now jumping into lap 3, and we are still following Daniel Ricciardo, but this time we have the slipstream and we pick the inside line on this very long right-hander. He squeezes me a little bit, maybe too much, but we are going on the brakes and we lose the back end, and we make a move for the lead, which is not an unorthodox move on his inside, as I lost the back end. I think I touched him, and that made my car spun to the left. But nevertheless, I'm getting counter-attacked by Ricciardo as he goes on the outside of Ascari chicane, and I need to take evasive action to not hit him right away, as now I lose the back end, so I will be a sitting duck compared to Rosberg. So I'm at this point I'm just waiting for a move to happen, but he doesn't pull the trigger, and it is the Ferrari of Raikkonen who is now on the inside of Parabolica compared to Rosberg, and I believe he will be able to make a move and get up into the P3, I think, as they are now side by side. And as we enter lap 4, we are also side by side with Daniel Ricciardo, and we make our move stick even before the braking zone, as Ricciardo will now have the outside line. And I think that the Finnish driver of the Ferrari will also be able to get his move done over Rosberg. Yes, indeed, he made it stick, as we are now in lap 5, and it is Vettel who is starting to make his way up the grid and is now side by side with Jensen Button, and now under braking he makes a rather risky maneuver on the inside of Jolyon Palmer, I think it is, to get 2 places in just one braking zone. So we just lost the back end, as these are very tricky conditions. I still haven't found my rhythm, my mojo on this track, and we just got yellow flags at the entry of the Ascari chicane. So let's see what happens. It is the battle for 7th between Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, and as you can see, the British driver is closing in quite rapidly on the Williams driver, but he goes too late on the brakes and doesn't hit his turning point as well as Bottas, and at that point Bottas is just a passenger, but well, the AI being Codemaster's AI and just not rejoining the track, as Bottas will be losing a lot of ground, not only to the British driver but also to the rest of the field. As we move now into lap 7, and we are now witnessing an attack from Kimi Raikkonen, this time to Daniel Ricciardo, and we'll try to pull off the sort of maneuver he did on the Mercedes of Rosberg a couple of laps ago, and I think that he will be able to make it stick. He already has, and Rosberg keeps getting in and out of slipstream as he tries to find this space, as he looks like he's thinking against a maneuver on the inside of turn 1. So yeah, it was no problem for Kimi Raikkonen to get his move done, but that move is not going to go unanswered, as the Australian driver has now the inside line on Parabolica, as I am quite a couple of seconds away from them as they are battling each other and slowing themselves down, and I'm taking advantage of it to pull away myself, as I started with an under-fueled car. So as long as I can drive on standard, or at least not on rich, it will be helpful for me to regain my fuel, or to make my fuel meet the requirements for the amount of fuel that I need to get through to the end of this race. As we are now seeing an inside move from Rosberg on Kimi Raikkonen, and he already got the move done in the same fashion as all others have done in the previous laps. But now we are going 3 wide on the main straight, and just as we thought that Rosberg was already overtaken by the both of them, he moves to the right and gets on the inside of Kimi Raikkonen, so a great defensive maneuver from him. He just got attacked and counter-attacked at the perfect spot, even though he couldn't get back on the Australian of the Red Bull. He maintained his P4, I think, as we are now witnessing Max Verstappen on the inside of Parabolica once again, but this time he is side by side with the other Red Bull of Daniel Ricciardo, as it is the battle for second place, and the Dutch driver got his move to stick, but I think that Ricciardo may try something once again as we go on to the helmet cam, but it looks like he will have no space to try any sort of maneuver, and P3 it is for the Australian. As we are now in lap 12, so the battle has stopped quite a bit, and they are starting to catch up to me a little bit, and I'm going into the pits because I think that it is time for some dry tires. So I'm going to pick the mediums, I think, and let's hope that I do not get held up by any of these cars as I get the switch onto mediums done, and I got hold up by Verstappen, so I'm going to rejoin the track behind him, and I think it will be P4 for now. Yes, it is, but right after the chicane, I get right back on him with better traction for some reason, and I just get back on my P3. So I will have the net lead of this race, as Perez and Ricciardo are still on the intermediates, as we now rejoin at the end of lap 13. Perez was still entering the pit lane and Ricciardo is exiting it, and we have to avoid him. Of course, he had just come out of the pits, and I was just trying to get a little bit more of slipstream just to defend from Verstappen, who I think had DRS at that point. As you can see, I'm still over one lap on a deficit of fuel, and I think Rosberg also got ahead of Ricciardo as he was coming out of the pits. But now we are at lap 14, and we are witnessing an attack that Max Verstappen is mounting against me as he makes his move around the outside, but he's not able to make it stick. Nevertheless, he compromises my line through the whole Sky chicane, and both of us are now under pressure from the Mercedes of Nico Rosberg. And Rosberg already tried a move on the outside, but he gets touched, banging wheels between the Rosberg and the Dutch driver, and it is going to make him lose quite a bit of time, and he will be now pressurized by his teammate, who uses DRS to get his move done, as he gets touched by behind from the Dutch driver, which is going to cost him a little bit of his end plates on his front wing, but nevertheless he is able to go on with the race, as we are now getting attacked this time around by Nico Rosberg, as the AI seems to be faster around the Lesmos than I am, and that time I got a little bit too wide, lost quite a bit of speed, and I was not able to catch Rosberg for the remaining of this stint at least, as now it is Ricciardo with a very awkward move. I think he just missed his entire braking zone completely and caused a couple of yellow flags there, though no safety cars were deployed. I'm now under pressure from Kimi Räikkönen, as he has to slow down because I broke quite early, I think, and Max Verstappen is able to pull off a move around the outside, but as Räikkönen has the inside line, he gets to get back on the Dutch driver. But now Verstappen has the slipstream on me, and let's see what happens. Not too much, at least they are not able to attack me directly, but Verstappen, I think, is able to get his move done on Räikkönen, as they were still side by side out of turn 2, and we are getting attacked once again by the Red Bull. Oh no, this is the replay, I apologize. This is the replay of Ricciardo missing his braking zone completely, as we jump to lap 18, and the very, very hairy situation, as they were over 300 kilometers per hour, as they almost Tokyo drifted that straight on the run down into Parabolica, and you will now have the slipstream of Räikkönen and of me to take advantage of once again, but decides against making any maneuvers to try and get any overtakes done, as we will now have the outside line, but still not enough to be able to attack the Finnish driver, as we are now on the T-cam of Fernando Alonso, who is behind, I think it is Bottas and Daniel Ricciardo, as he slows down quite a bit, so he's not able to get ahead of Ricciardo in the braking zone, but he might be able to make a move. Yes, he is indeed able to make his move stick. So we are now jumping in onto lap 19, and we are still pressurized by the pair of the Renault and the Ferrari and the Red Bull, as we banged wheels with Räikkönen, which is going to cost us speed, allowing Verstappen to slice right between the both of us, and we are now side by side into turn 1. This is the battle for second place, mind you, and we got overtaken by Verstappen, and we weren't able to pull off the switchback, which was what I was intending by braking a bit too early on that corner. But I will try to get right back on him into this chicane as I go under braking, and I cut the corner. I don't know why. Maybe I was just too lazy to make the racing line, but for some reason I avoided Verstappen, and by doing so I cut the corner and get the lead. I didn't get any penalties or any warnings for it, as we have now another yellow flag warning for for the Ascari chicane, as I think it is Hamilton once again getting involved in another accident, just in the same fashion as they did with Bottas, but this time both cars are sent spinning onto the wall, which costs front wings to both him and Vettel. So, well, it is quite dangerous. Like Hamilton has ruined the race to two drivers so far. So yeah, let's see how many more he ruins the race of. As we are now following Esteban Gutierrez, who arrives the incident location, and the incident is already been cleared. As we are now witnessing once again a battle between Bottas, Verstappen, I want to say, and the Ferrari of Kimi Raikkonen, as we are now on the onboard camera of Alonso, and he will maybe try to make the most out of this situation as he pulls off to the right side of the track, but then he slows down for some reason and pulls back onto the racing line, but Ricciardo was there. I'm really not sure. Oh no, it was Max Verstappen, I apologize. But as you can see, under braking, Verstappen had nothing he could do because the Spaniard just pulled off into his racing line. So he jumped into lap 23, and Massa is now up in P3 and is right behind us as we dip a wheel on the grass. And unfortunately, we were able to make the car do the corner, because usually when you dip a wheel on the grass on the braking zone to Lesmo 2, the car just understeers, as we are now witnessing a battle for P6 between Ricciardo and I think it was Alonso, and it is now Alonso on the inside of the first Lesmo, and coming out of the corner he hits the rear tires of Hülkenberg, who, to be honest, I think he gave him as much room as he could, as we are now seeing an attack that both Finnish drivers are mounting against me, as I just missed my braking zone completely, and well, I just give the place to both of them, and then I lose the back and the outside of the Ascari chicane, and there comes a Red Bull out of nowhere. I think that it is Max Verstappen. Well, no, now I think it is Ricciardo, just by his helmet. It is quite difficult for me to distinguish the helmets, but nevertheless, I let Bottas run away with it. Oh no, it is Massa, I'm sorry. And well, I'm going to dive on his inside and was able to make the move stick, even though I pushed Massa a little bit wide, and he is now pressurized by both cars behind him. Nevertheless, I got my P2 back, and that's what matters. As we now jump to lap 24, and still side by side with Massa once again, and now I cut the corner a little bit to avoid any AI giving up on the move, as they sometimes do, and just pull off into the side of the track, because at this point I didn't know that it was Ricciardo messing up his braking zone. I thought that he just pulled off into the gravel in that earlier incident, so I was quite wary of that. And it is the Red Bull overtaking the Williams, and the Ferrari as well overtaking the Williams. But now Massa is coming back at the Ferrari driver Kimi Raikkonen, and then they're braking Ricciardo with a very big walk-up. But Felipe Massa was able to get his move done on Raikkonen, and I think that Verstappen is also able to pull off a move on Raikkonen as well. As we now jump to our race director. As you can see, Nico Rosberg is leading, followed by me and Ricciardo. Massa with a very good race so far. Pascal Wehrlein in the verge of finishing in points. Sebastian Vettel is in last place and Hamilton is in 19th. So a very poor race from them, as Nico Hülkenberg is P6, I believe, starting from P13, which is a massive result from them so far at least. As we are now in lap 30 and Massa is going to try a move on the outside. Fortunately, I broke later than him, but right now I'm just going... Yeah, I was able to put the power down early and defend my position. But once again, I lose the back end coming out of the Lesmo corners, and Massa will just breeze past me to get P2 from me. But I think I will be able to retain it as I lose the back end on the braking zone for the Ascari chicane, and that's not going to help my case making that position up, as I'm now under pressure from Ricciardo, who is also going to overtake me on the run down to Ascari. And this time I didn't lose the back end, but still that's not very good, as the tires are starting to go off on me. I don't know if I am wearing the tires faster than those around me. As you can see, I'm around 50% on all of my tires, and I'm still following Ricciardo, and I will get the RS, so I think I might be able to make something happen here, as I just opened the RS using the slipstream to my advantage. As you can see, I'm still on standard mix and I'm just on a deficit of 0.47 laps of fuel, so I'm making up my ground in terms of the fuel required to go into the end of this race. But now in lap 34, it took me quite a few laps to get in a position to overtake Massa, as I did it pretty easily, as I was already a couple of tenths ahead of him even before the braking zone. As we are now jumping into lap 35 and I move back onto the pits, and I'm followed by Verstappen, I believe. And right now I'm going to change into a set of the soft tires, and I am also going to try an undercut on the Brazilian of Williams and Daniel Ricciardo as well. As we come out of the pits, I believe it will be a P6, maybe even P7, because I just got overtaken by Raikkonen, pitted a couple of laps ago, because after the rain he pitted for softs, so he is now on the mediums. But fortunately I stay ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, who once again is doing a fantastic lap. And now on lap 37, both our rivals are coming out of the pits, and I managed to stay ahead of Ricciardo, but I lost the position to Felipe Massa. And right now we are on the slipstream of him. We have warmer tires than the Brazilian, and we are going side by side on the run down into this first chicane, as I pull off the move on the outside and get back my P3. As we are now jumping into lap 40, and it is Ricciardo chasing me down, as I don't know what happened to Massa, honestly, because I don't see him in my mirrors, as we are notified by Jeff that we are expecting light rain in 15 minutes. So this race will have rain once again, but by my calculations it is only 7 laps away. 15 minutes is around 7 laps, so it will be lap 48. So will it be worth to stop for intermediates with only 5 laps left? Which that was my thought, my major thought, as I got that message, as I'm still fighting with Ricciardo, as he did not have any space to pull off a move. And we are now under yellow flags as Felipe Massa is out of the race. As I just looked back, it looked like an engine failure and the safety car is deployed. So the first safety car of this race was deployed at lap 40, I think. As you can see, Felipe Massa, there was nothing to do. He was having a beautiful race, but the engine just gave out on him, and there was little he could do. As I now dive onto the pits for a set of super soft tires, because my thought process was that first I will have the fastest compound, I will have the freshest compound if nobody else beats, and then once the rain comes down, I will have the grip. Well, the super softs are the most grippy tire, so I will last longer on rain conditions, as we are now rejoining on the race with Green Flag Racing, and for some reason Button was very slow out of that safety car period, as we are now catching up to Sainz, and we have to take evasive action from Felipe Nasr, who we didn't see until the last moment, fortunately, and now Kvyat hit the back of Bottas, and we also hit the back of Verstappen as we dive on that group, and we have another couple of yellow flags, and Lewis Hamilton is now out of the race for the second time in a row. The British driver, the leader of the championship, is out of the race. As you can see, he was having a battle with our teammate for P10, and our teammate is sandwiched between the British driver and Sergio Perez. As you can see from our mirrors, our teammate hit the front tires of the British driver, and Lewis Hamilton spun. As we are now following the T-cam of Jenson Button, our teammate just had no space to give to Hamilton, but he was already smoking when our teammate hit him. So I'm guessing that he lost his engine in the braking zone into turn 1, maybe even a bit before, as we are now expecting light rain in 5 minutes according to Jeff, as we are now in lap 45, as we made another position by overtaking Verstappen and are now occupying P5. As you can see from the minimap, it is Rosberg that is running away a little bit, as I am now catching up massively to Hülkenberg and Raikkonen, and even Ricciardo as well, as they were battling for P2, and Hülkenberg blocks me a little bit, and Verstappen comes out of nowhere to retake his P5 as I go on the inside of Hülkenberg, but Raikkonen is too slow and we gave him just a little tap. Fortunately, no harm done to our front wing, as we are now on the main straight side by side with Raikkonen, and we are winning this drag race for some reason, and we are now side by side with Ricciardo and Verstappen, and we are going to overtake all of them into the braking zone for the first corner, which was just a massive maneuver in my opinion, and we jumped from P5, even P6 at one point, to P2 in just the main straight and the parabolic corner. So we are now catching up to Rosberg. As you can see, our gap is now 3.6 seconds at lap 48. Then at the end of lap 49, it is now 1.3 seconds. And at lap 50, we finally catch up to him. As you can see, we are having a yellow engine. So yeah, it's going to be quite hard. I don't know what it takes to make the engine explode on us, but because it never happened to me, as the rain is falling down quite a bit, as we can see on our small visor in front of us, it is starting to rain, as I pulled off an overtake on Rosberg, but now the track is getting quite greasy. As you can see, just the oversteer we are getting on the Ascari chicane, as we lose the back end, as we go on the throttle too hard on the exit. Now we are in lap 42, and we are getting notified that Rosberg has fixed his problem, so apparently he had a power issue, and that's why we were able to get up on him so fast. As we are now we are still in lap 52, and Verstappen is going to take the lead of this race. I'm sorry, due to our mistake at the exit of the second Lesmo. I do not have the space to pull off any sort of maneuver in the Ascari chicane. But we are now starting the last lap of this race, as it is raining quite heavily and under braking. Verstappen is later on the brakes than we are, but we managed to get his inside, and we actually made the move stick. And I think that Rosberg is going to overtake Verstappen, maybe. I believe so, as now Rosberg is going to attack us on the run down to the Ascari chicane. It is all or nothing for both of us. As he brakes, I brake later than him, as I lose the back end under braking, and I need to Tokyo drift this entire section of the Ascari chicane, as I also lose the back end on the throttle application on the outside. And this was it. Until the last part of the race, I was not attacked, and after a very hard-fought race, finally we win the Italian Grand Prix! A very good race from us. I'm very satisfied with the job we did today.
Brilliant stuff from Manor today. What a superb victory. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
And I can see our drivers making their way out now. It's been an incredible performance and the culmination of a huge amount of effort. Manor Racing are your winners today.
So yeah, as you can see now, the race results, we won the Italian Grand Prix, followed by Nico Rosberg and Daniel Ricciardo, and then it was Bottas who was near the last places at one point after his tangle with Lewis Hamilton. He finished fourth. Sebastian Vettel was nearly in the points, but not quite enough, as our teammate finished ninth place, which was just a great performance. Nico Hülkenberg starting from P13 into a points position as well, which is great for them. And in the rivalry update, we smashed once again Valtteri Bottas, so we are on our way to winning this rivalry with a very commanding fashion as well. This is going to be it, I think, for the Italian Grand Prix. I think I will still buy another upgrade on our car. I think it will be the chassis weight upgrade for our car in the Singapore Grand Prix, which is going to be up next. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you want to see more of this career mode, you can also subscribe. I'm trying to get to 30 subscribers until the end of March. So as you can see now, we have the driver standings. I got my 100 points, but still not quite enough to catch up to Valtteri Bottas in the standings. So this is it for today, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until Singapore, and have a wonderful day.